What's up, humans? You are listening to the What is Humans podcast with Shane Strunk and Dennis Kluba. Make sure to follow us on our social media pages, on Instagram at What is Humans Podcast, on TikTok at What is Humans Podcast, and on YouTube at What is Humans Podcast. Today, Dennis and I are discussing the pain you choose. Enjoy. Hey.
Welcome back. You're listening to the What is Humans podcast with Shane Strunk and Dennis Kluba. This is your first time listening. This is a personal development podcast in which Shane and I focus on things going on in our own life, having conversations about them, and then hopefully you at home can take some of the things that we talk about and apply it to what's going on in your life as well. And most importantly, we're experts in almost nothing.
What's up, man?
Nothing much. We're having an exciting time right now, lots of opportunities. I feel like especially around summertime, there's a lot of the sun's shining, you're trying to do fun things.
Just change in the air. I mean, we've done topics on this of just winter is just more of the grind. And, I think summer, it's you stay up later, the sun is literally out later. There's just more energy. So looking to capitalize on that.
For sure. So what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about the pain you choose.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of this really came around conversations about sacrifice and kind of as individuals, what we're willing to maybe give up in pursuit of, dreams. And dreams can be obviously for everybody super unique. And I think that so are those sacrifices that you're willing to make are unique to you as well.
Yeah, totally. I think most of this idea kind of came from really just frustration, in our own lives.
Yeah.
If it was professional, if it's, personal, it's just conversations we've been having in our couch, just talking about whatever. And really it's just, we've had great growth, on this pod and, outside of it, the whole move and everything. Mm-hmm. But it's really we take steps forward, but we also take steps back. Yeah. We've grown, we've fallen a lot too. Mm-hmm. So I think it's more just using this to kind of assess. Yeah. And that was just a reminder of kind of this idea of the pain we choose.
Yeah. And I think before we get into whatever that unique pain that we choose is for ourselves, but then also maybe people at home, you mentioned, out of frustration, this is kind of where this topic has kind of come from. Do you feel like, and you mentioned growth and, falling, do you feel like because of work, we've done this podcast for 2 years now, do you feel like because of conversations that we've had, reflections, for some reason, and I'm saying that this is probably, an event of what we've talked about, that it's almost you are uncomfortable when you're too comfortable. If things are going too well or, it's too easy, it's in that case, we do begin to seek some sort of pain in order to grow. If you're not growing, at least for me, it can feel I'm frustrated.
Yeah. It's that's when we grow is when we are uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And when we are comfortable, we just feel bored. Yeah. And we seek out these short-term fixes, whether that's our phone, it's alcohol, it's, doing the turning to our vices instead of you kind of leaning into that uncomfortableness. Yeah. That might be, our goal or our dream that might just be right behind that corner.
Yeah, completely. One thing that I think is always true, which I think will lead well into this topic, is we know that in life, to get something, you have to give something, right? Yeah. If that's literally you're trading goods, you give people money to make your Chipotle.
Goods, services, time.
Exactly.
Effort, yeah.
Exactly. You named great ones in time and effort, right? whatever you want, it requires a certain amount of give for that take. In your own life, do you feel like it's easy to choose like what you're willing to give, or do you feel like you need to like name that out in order to, start to sacrifice those things?
Can you rephrase?
Yeah, sorry. It's more like, I feel like it can be, like you mentioned, when we're reaching for our phone or we watch Netflix, when we get home. It's like a lot of times for me, it's easy to get into this routine where I'm like, oh, that's just what I do. Watch Netflix. In reality, I know that that hour that we watch Breaking Bad or whatever, it's like, damn, if I wanted to achieve my dream, I should probably turn off the Netflix, turn off the TV, and do some work after work. Yeah. And so I was wondering if for you, it's like, okay, you could name in your life pretty quickly. It's like, yeah, I am willing to sacrifice a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday morning, we talk about running. We do that typically Saturday mornings, but do you think it's easy or do you think it's hard to be like, okay, this is what I'm willing to cut out to achieve my dream?
Mm-hmm. I think it is easier than we think. Not going to say it's not going to say that it's hard or it's like, it's just like, I think it's like our actions are just habitual.
Yes.
It's like, what do you tend to do? Mm-hmm. It's like you just get in your cycle of like, oh, I do this then, I do that then. Like I go see friends on the weekend, I socialize on the weekend. This is when I drink. This is when I watch a show. This is when I eat. It's like you have to, I guess, set up your life in a way that is conducive to you achieving your goals.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
I was going to say, that was an amazing answer, I think, to that, because I think that you're completely right. It's easier to name them when you put it in perspective of your dreams, right? It's like, hey, you could achieve everything you ever wanted, but you'd have to work 6 or 7 days a week, but it's on the thing that you love. It's like, oh, well, if I'm achieving everything I ever wanted, I could definitely do that. Yeah. But you named it completely right. It's like the habits that you get put in, it's like you're almost not choosing them. They're choosing you just because you've done it so many times.
Habits that you want to create, what'd you say, are choosing you? Like
the bad habits choose you.
Yeah.
It's like if you're used to watching Netflix every night when you get home, it's not that you like actively, consciously chose to flip it on. Mm-hmm. It's almost like those habits just like took over. Those
habits you've been doing have taken over.
Yeah.
That's why it's just like the information we take in.
Yeah.
The people we spend our time with, like our like those things impact us and bleed over into the rest of our lives. Mm-hmm. It's like if we do one thing poorly, we're likely to do the next thing poorly. If we do one thing well, it will bleed over into, hey, I want to do this well.
Mm-hmm. I think too, when we're talking about the pain that you choose uniquely to yourself, in a lot of ways, you have to know whatever that dream is of yours or that goal, you have to realize that it's like for example, I take like professional athletes, and we played sports at a high level for a long time. It's like there were things in practice or things that we had to get better at that I hated, didn't like it, and it required time and energy. But I loved playing soccer, that I was like, okay, I'm willing to do this turn drill or whatever. Yeah. So how important is it, do you think, for everyone to know, okay, what is that thing for you that you are willing to, is it being a professional athlete? Is it owning your own business? Is it, being a public figure?
Yeah.
And then it makes it easier to be like, okay, the hard things, the reps, that's a part of me being better in the game, whatever that is for you.
Yeah, you just said it. It's like it allows me to be better in the game or be better, at this job or be this person or be a leader.
Yeah.
It is loving those tiny things and knowing why this rep, this workout
matters.
This hour of study, this hour of making content, how it ties to the bigger vision. It's like you have to know what it is you're doing and why it is important to do that thing for the larger thing.
Yeah. And I think that this is cliche, but it's like you have
cliche.
to be you have to become that pain that you do choose, the reps, whatever they are. Yeah. It's like people say you have to become in love with the journey, the details, et cetera. I literally heard this week on Chris Paul with Rich Roll.
Yeah.
That is a cliche, but it is true in that the minute that you can start having fun, or at least I think accept how important the small reps are, that's when it becomes so much more fun. What you're willing to sacrifice. It's like, hey, you could go to the bar with your friends, but do you really enjoy doing that writing or that editing for an hour on your podcast, on your side hustle? Once you fall in love with that, then it's like, okay, like it doesn't matter as much that I need to go to the bar.
And that's that pain you choose.
Yeah.
Okay, you could be choosing the pain on this. Say it's on your job, or it's on something that doesn't give you life, or it's the pain of, hey, this is painful creating this content, or it's painful pursuing this dream.
Yeah.
But I understand it is way more important to me. It is way more aligned with my values. And it can just fuel me in so many other ways. So that's the pain I'm going to choose. Yeah. Although it is uncomfortable, there's going to be suffering in both paths.
Yeah.
But it's that suffering you're willing to take versus the suffering that maybe is more comfortable, or maybe is the path that others take.
It's the give 40 hours of your life a week, maybe for a job that you don't love, but you get whatever the rest of the hours are in the week to do whatever.
Yeah.
How important is it to you, do you think, to name, like kind of draw a line in the sand and say, hey, this is what I'm willing to give, in order to put a name, put an activity to, like we said, it's subconsciously, you turn on Netflix or you eat your junk food.
Sure.
How important is it to be like, hey, no. This is the routine. These are the things I have to do in order to move towards my dream. And I need to list them, name them out, or else I can fall back into.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you aren't self-aware of your own actions, of your own day, of how you spend your time, if you don't look at it of like, oh, I spent a couple hours on my phone today. I was on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. If I'm there's an hour on Netflix, there's an hour I have to use to make food, there's the hour to drive. It's, you got to add that up. You got to look exactly what it is you're doing, and call it out and name it, and reflect on it. And if you want to make changes, you have to sacrifice. Maybe it is time with friends, or maybe it is things that aren't filling up your cup. Yeah. So it's not that I want to be hardcore and say that we can't have those things, but it's just like being very particular on the time you have and using it more efficiently.
That, I think, like you said, this idea of we did a whole podcast on this called like balance your accounts, or
it was a finance
slang terminology, like check your account, something like that. But you mentioned it.
Credit check.
Yes, it was credit check. Consistently taking notice of where your time is going, because I think for so many of us, that is the silent killer of like, oh shoot, say that your job pays you X amount for this week. This has happened with so many of our friends, but people in general. Maybe their job description says 40 hours, but then they end up working 50 to 60. Yeah. And then you break down maybe what you got in your raise, and that raise now, because of the amount of time that you're working, is only $3 or $4 more an hour.
Right.
And you're like, oh my gosh, I just gave away 10 more hours of my life for an increase in pay of $5 an hour. Yeah. And if you're not aware of that, if you're not aware where your decisions are happening, where your mental energy, where your physical energy is going, it's so easy to get into this world of, okay, tomorrow I got to do this.
Yeah.
Then I got to do that. And then, well, I'm tired, so I got to watch Netflix.
Yes, life is happening to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
How do you
let's
get into the house?
Yeah, let's get into our house. How do we want to think about choosing, the pain we choose, and I guess creating, a better way to look at pain.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be pain no matter what. I think is the understanding we came in the what. So how do we want to look at this?
Yeah, I think to get to the ultimate, goal of today of what that pain is for you. Figuring out what that threshold is I think you have to first list out. We've been talking about this a little bit more lately, but list out what is the dream of it. If everything went perfectly and you were set financially, you were living, your favorite life, you were doing what you love to do.
Yeah. If money wasn't a problem, what would you be doing?
What would you be doing? And then you have to take that and name that, put that out into the universe, be very aware of that.
That's step one.
Yeah. And then I think from there, you can kind of maybe do what you did in the what section and look at, okay, here's my day. This is the amount of time that I actually have right now. Those extra, say you go to work for 8 hours or whatever, those other 8 hours, if you get 8 hours sleep, how much of those 8 hours am I willing to give up, put towards
screen time, food, all the things. Some are, you're going to have to stack rank them of importance.
Yeah.
Of, hey, I probably could be doing this step better. If this is something important to you, if it's a show, if it's, just messing around, seeing friends, whatever.
Exercise.
Like look at it all and see what is important for that larger why.
Yeah, completely. And then I think when you're able to account for your time, you have the dream, then that third step is putting them up against each other and saying, hey, on this side, I have this dream life. Money doesn't matter. I'm doing great. I'm happy. I'm fulfilled. On this side, I have the amount of hours that I have left in the day or whatever. In the hindsight, hey, are you willing to go through the pain of not seeing the third season of Breaking Bad or binging 4 hours straight in order to potentially achieve whatever this is for you, whatever that dream is? And I think that, for me at least,
what it does is that exercise is it just makes it so clear.
That's exactly what I was
clear on the pain that you're willing to take, on the uncertainty, on the failure that will come. You'll just be able to approach that with a stronger mindset, knowing just how clear it is for you, of how valuable that is for you.
Yeah, no, completely. So why is it important that we figure out what this pain is, that we're willing to endure?
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, we've talked about it in the what's a lot, and the why. It's, I think we just fall to comfort so often. Like, just as humans, we're always seeking pleasure, the quickest way to an outcome, trying to conserve energy, the things in biology.
Yeah.
And I think kind of understanding that in context to what you want to do with your life, on what your passion is, what you value, what's your why, we need to be cognizant of that. We need to be cognizant of the time we use, the iPhone in our pocket, the junk food in our cabinet, alcohol in our fridge. Being mindful of the time of our own vices, I think is super important in order to pursue that life.
Yeah, no, I think you're so right. I think for me, I look back at times when I made the most growth in my life. I was working the absolute hardest. I was working a ton of hours, and I was not putting them towards something that I necessarily loved. So it's understanding, like you said, I've subconsciously slipped into a world of comfort. Yeah. You get that job, it's paying the bills. Yep. It's all good. Then you look back and you say, okay, I know what I'm capable of as an individual, the hard work I'm willing to put in. Now all I need is that thing, that goal, that drive. And it's like, you combine those two together, the sky is the absolute limit. Think to your job, you're already giving 40, 50 hours a week. Right. Put that into your passion. I mean, sky's the limit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick recap. So today we talked about the pain we choose.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about really just sacrifice and risk. And I'd say like time, like the time we use. And then we got into our house.
Yeah. So in the house, the first step is really understanding what that ultimate goal is, what that dream is for you, naming it out, putting it into reality.
Naming it, seeing it.
Exactly.
And then our second one was to really map out the time that we have of look at your screen time, look at, analog your day of, I spent an hour watching Netflix. I did this to cook, and really look at that as a way to create a better lifestyle or better habits for pursuing that why.
Completely. And then the final step is taking those two and really putting them side by side, because like Shane said, all that exercise does is gives you entire clarity on, okay, 2 hours of screen time on Instagram, your goal in 2 years of being financially independent and doing what you love. Yeah. There's an obvious winner there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so much clearer.
Yeah.
Then our whys was, I think that this topic or in this exercise in the house is it really just gives you the opportunity to look at your own vices. Like we are constantly seeking comfort, and understanding that will help us to choose better pains, because there's going to be pain and suffering in no matter what avenue there is. And choosing the pain that you're willing to suffer for versus the pain that life would just bring to you.
Yeah, it's really good. And then for me, my why was really about analyzing, like Shane had said, kind of subconsciously this world of comfort that we slip into just without even recognizing or paying attention. And then really looking at, like Shane just said, the pain that we are willing to suffer for, putting it side by side with that dream and making it clear.
Love it. Yeah. I think that wraps another week of
What is Humans.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.